Well, it's good to have everybody. Thanks for coming. For us to announce our first signing class as a staff. First thing I want to do is a few thank yous. The first one's to our current team, because when a new staff comes together, the emphasis really goes to recruiting right away. And I think our team right now has done a great job putting their head down and been good going to class, been good in the weight room. I think they've got a good energy about them, and I appreciate their help as hosts. So we'll get back with them more consistently after today. So a couple other people. I stood up here November 30th and made a Lion King reference. People giggled. People liked it. But I did say, it's going to take all of us. And I wasn't referencing myself as Simba. I said we are an island full of Simbas. And, there's a lot of people. Recruiting is incredible, the amount of people that get involved with it. So, people within the department, around the island, but Beachcomber Hotel, Outrigger Waikiki, Sheridan Waikiki, Side Street, L&L, Tsukiji's, Sodexo, Duke's, Kai Market, Teddy's Burgers, Island Princess, my man Lumpy at the beach, Kulo Ranch, Enterprise Rental Car, the UH Cheerleaders and Band, the UH Rec Center. And then you talk about people in the department. Compliance. Amanda, Dan, Surrenda, Courtney, everyone taking a look at transcripts and helping us get this stuff done. Tommy, Bubba, the strength staff, everybody in student services, the trainers, Eric and his crew, Al, his crew, helping us all out. It takes everybody. And that's kind of what I meant by we're all Simba on this thing. Then you got to thank our coaches. I think they did a tremendous job. It's not easy going, on the road, coming back for an official visit, back on the road. But one thing about what we did, and I think it was because we hired good people, is we didn't trick any recruits into coming here. We were honest, we were genuine. We told them what they were getting into and what the challenge was. And some kids bought into it. And those are the ones we wanted because they're ready for the opportunity and the challenge. So I thought our coaches did a great job. Last person I'd like to thank is Dave Matlin, because when I took the job, I told him, listen, I think we really could use a recruiting coordinator. And he allowed me to hire Jason Severko, who has made all the difference in the world. Go between whether it's travel, academics, compliance. The guy's an animal. And to put this class together since he's been here on the first has been just a great feat by him and the other coaches. So you want me to open up the questions now? All right. How about some questions? Yeah.
Coach, you created a movement. It was defend.
A movement. I like it.
That was going on out there. Do you feel like this class created enough soldiers to where you can start to build on that vision?
Yeah, I do. And I think they're all doing it for the right reasons. We got good people coming into this program. The local kids, they bought into it. The local kids, the stories we heard in home visits, the stories we heard in recruiting them, they remember Colt Brennan and the stadium. They remember Bryant Moniz. They remember the great defenses flying around, okay? It hasn't been gone that long. So these kids, like Kala's grandfather, season ticket holder forever. How important was it for him to, represent Hawaii, Pride Rock, because of how important it was to his grandfather? Those types of things carried through all our local kids, So, and the kids from the mainland, we had like Jeremiah Pritchard, spent a year here, originally from Samoa. He wants to come back and make this thing great. So, I don't know if I intended it to be, it was kind of just an initial analogy of what we were trying to do, but it has probably become a little bit more of a movement than I thought.
Sticking with that idea of a movement, to do that at all is one thing, but to do it in sort of a shortened time frame is another. Did coming in late, in November, making your coaching hires before you really got into recruiting, did that shortened time frame have any impact on the recruiting class at all? What were the challenges of not having
Listen,
that much time?
Coach Polian last year during the season got a quote from Coach Saban, and he said, "It takes what it takes." And our coaches and Jason and everybody involved, whether it was 10 days, I don't know how many days it was, but it takes what it takes to get the job done. And I think that's just a great quote that can be used in all types of areas in life. But it took what it took to get this class done, and I couldn't ask for anything more from our guys.
Over here, Coach.
Hey.
So you've been very adamant about defending Pride Rock and recruiting players that are suitable for UH football, who are committed to play here. How do you go about sorting through these recruits and identifying the players who will be able to play here the way you want to?
Well, it's effort. It's effort. You got to get to know these kids. We said this maybe in the last week, maybe a week or two. People in general, but I think when we're talking recruiting, when a kid lands at Honolulu International and he gets off the plane, his first breath of air or his first sight that he sees, I think he's two things. He's either excited or he's scared. And we are going to continue to do a better job and try to figure that out before we get him on the plane. But I think we need to identify through social media, through phone calls, what is this person made of, And I think our guys did the best job they could.
Coach, it's interesting that you went internationally to find a couple of really jumbo athletes that really stand out to a lot of people who watch a lot of high school football and collegiate football, et cetera. Can you talk about Max and Moana at all, and what kind of stuff you saw from them and why you felt the need to branch out into these areas, and if those can be recruiting hotbeds for the University of Hawaii in the future?
Well, Chris deserves a lot of credit, and I think it shows that making that effort to get down to those places, Australia and Samoa, to see these athletes in person, because they don't have the exposure a lot of the mainland kids have. I think that shows the worth of that trip. I mean, Chris had these guys before I had the job. He knew about them. He had, Max. This is, and to Chris's credit, we have a board and we say, okay, we want this many O-line, this many of them. Chris said, look, nobody else has seen them. There's not a ton of film on them. He said, but I would give up one of my O-line spots for this guy because I believe that strongly in his ability to help us somewhere, and And that's another thing I think we did is really had an open forum in recruiting. Nothing was behind the back of anybody. It was all out on the table. Say what you want, and I think that made it pretty clear for us moving forward what the plan was. And then you talk, but you go back to emails from Colin Scott's. You got Matt McBriar, you got Scott Harding. I mean, there's been players from Australia. So we'd love to keep getting down there and see, if we can get one or two a year. And then obviously Samoa's been great for us for a couple decades now. So that's a worthwhile recruiting trip for us to make. All right, keep rolling.
Recruiting quarterback, especially high school during the Norm Chow era, was a problem because it was majority transfers that came in. Ikaika was a holdover from the last staff. Do you feel like you guys are going to be able to get past that barrier of, transfers coming in to where you guys can develop quarterbacks on your own?
No, I think that's important at all positions. I think you'll see by the numbers we recruited heavy freshmen. There's not a panic in our staff or in this department. Do we got to win right now? We'd like to win right now, but we also want to build a solid foundation. And I think we've done that with freshmen who are going to get the opportunity to play. They got to show that they can, but they're going to get the opportunity. And you keep bringing in freshmen and building a culture and building, and the quality of people makes a big difference, But I think, yes, at the quarterback position, developing a guy is, and consistently bringing guys through the program, I think it's important. But we try to do that at all positions.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Jace.
Hey, that said, was there a priority as far as position goes, as far areas you want to target?
Yeah, we want. I mean, a couple coaches told me this. He said, when you start, you want to build your team from the inside out or at the line of scrimmage. Okay, so we wanted to make sure we got some young D linemen. We wanted to make sure we got some young old linemen. Obviously, Fred coming back was huge for us. You know, that was one of the sparks that kind of started off the Pride Rock movement, as you called it. But you know, if we don't have those positions in good health, I think you're going to have issues no matter what kind of schemes you run, offense or defense. You know, and one thing that may get overlooked is, you know, we've got players from some really good high school football programs, in state, California, all over. But these programs are championship programs. So we're bringing winners into the program, guys who not only know how to win, expect to win. Okay, so and I think. I don't know if that was one of our initial goals, like, I'll be honest. But when we start looking at these guys, you're looking at, I mean, it's not hard math, 3, 5, you're looking at 8 high schools and maybe less than 10 losses between them, guys that our guys have come from, so that our signees have come from. So I think that alone, they come in expecting to win is something that'll help us.
Over here again, Coach. Oh. You've recruited here before, and you've recruited at Nevada and back here again. What's so different about recruiting in Hawaii based on other schools that you've worked at?
I think recruiting at Hawaii, you know, there's because of growing up on the island, okay, these kids have a lot of uncles and a lot of aunties that they trust, okay? They have to feel that you are genuine and that you mean what you say and you're telling them the truth, because they grow up feeling secure with the people around them and knowing that they can trust those people. You know, I learned that being here and then coaching here. And then when when I was in the mainland coming back to recruit here, you have to be that way. Be honest, tell them the truth, don't trick them, don't tell them something that, you know, is just to get their attention. They want to see your heart. They want to see your soul. They want you, because that's the majority of our population is good people. And now that doesn't only work here. You know, I think our staff shows you being good people and getting out. You know, whether it was, you know, the 2 guys from Samoa. I mean, they trusted Chris. They trusted our staff. You know, Max. Getting here and trusting our staff. You know, it's you know, recruiting's hard. Recruiting's hard, and it'll grind you out. But if you stay true to who you are as a person, I think you connect better.
Where do you project Hendry, and you got position coaches lining up for him?
Yeah, we do. Hendry, we had this talk. You know, he's. You know, in rugby, you play offense and defense. You know, he's very agile and fast for an athlete of his size. You know, he says, "I like carrying the ball, coach, but I also like tackling people." I said, "Well, you know, we got to figure out." I think he may have an easier transition early at defensive end, but I think there may be a spot for him on offense, special situations, and really we just want to get him here and start seeing where he is as far as the game goes. But a big athlete like that can fit a lot of places. So, you know, talk about tight end, talk about a big running back, you talk about defensive end, you talk about, I mean, it's just good to get, and that's a very competitive kid too. He doesn't like to lose. That's another great quality. So he'll find a home, and we may have some blood upstairs fighting for it, but he'll find a home.
Along those lines, the follow-up, this happens a lot in college football where, as a coach, you kind of have to, it's sometimes there's a short-term decision to plug a guy in somewhere to help the team, as opposed to a long-term decision as to what might help that guy develop. So that's a balancing act, right? Especially when you have a new team where you might have to do some patchwork.
I mean, yeah, I think that goes back to us recruiting freshmen. And something I said early when I got here. I thought there was talent on last year's football team. I think there was athletes there. I think, and I told them that. So I have a lot of faith in the guys that are already in the program. And, and you bring in a lot of JC guys or a lot of transfers. They're here, and by the time they feel good about not only the offense or defense or the program, but socially, then they're gone. I think the freshmen, by building that foundation, is important.
You project a lot of moving around people this year?
I hope they run fast.
Positions.
I don't, not a ton, no.
I'm not asking about movement.
No, I don't, we haven't had many talks about moving a lot of people around, so. Yes?
So, Kalakaua made a lot of national news when
Say
he
it
was
again.
invited.
Who?
Kalakaua.
Oh.
When he was invited to the opening,
Yeah.
made some big waves here. Today he said it'd be easy to go to a big school. He wanted the challenge of helping build something with you.
He's a
You feel like
competitor.
that's the attitude you want
He's
out
a
of this group?
competitor. He never wavered one bit. He from the very start when we got in his house the first time, and I got in front of his mom and grandma and him. It was okay. We believe you, and from that day forward, Kala was with us, and I mean, he's a competitor. He wants to get on the field and he wants to play, and he wants to win, and he wants to do it for Hawaii. So that one, as strong as anybody in this class was Kala.
Staying on Kala and on Keala, how important moving forward in getting the sort of marquee local prep players to stay home was it to get those two guys, those two
Huge,
big
huge for them. Keala's another tremendous athlete that's going to help us in the defensive backfield. But you watch his punt return ability. He's coming from the North Shore, and what he can bring as far as a culture, I think, is that the guy can play multiple positions in the defensive backfield for us. But he's a smart football player. He's a good student, and he's a smart football player. He belongs on the football field. And just to get him, to over on the visit and kind of get with him a little bit and get to know him a little bit better, I think, took a little time, but we got him warmed up to us, and after he said yes, I mean, he's been all in.